of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tristano, Chapter 58, Date Night, Part 3, Part 1. Upon reflection, when the tots had been quizzing him earlier, he really should have added shopping, with clothes shopping in particular, at the top of his dislikes list. Oh, I haven't been able to work with a body like yours since I was last in Milan. Why haven't you visited a hoteles before now, Aizawa? Because for the last hour, what an absolutely illogical use of his time, he'd been posed, primped, touched, not inappropriately, he was sure, but he'd been manhandled less in close-quarter combat training in jiu-jitsu tournaments, and fawned over to the point where he was dazed. Oh, no, Aizawa-sama! Put that tired black jacket down this instant! You, sir, need to be shown up properly, and since the tux I offered made you feel like a penguin butler, we're going with this gorgeous Baroni hat blue dinner jacket and pants with, oh, yes, this D&G periwinkle button-down shirt. Periwinkle! Sighing and finding himself once again stood in a wide velvet curtain changing room in a pair of black bamboo socks. Oh, you simply must have these. They're on the house, of course. And Braves, thankfully, his own. He always bought premium undergarments for health and hygiene reasons. Shouta tried to fight his urge to run. He lost the battle when it came to not folding his arms. He wasn't ashamed of his body, but he didn't like being gawped at either. And rolling his eyes, though. See how this shade brings out the creaminess of your skin? Black just washes you out, my friend. Honestly, if I had that jawline, those cheekbones, and your frame, I'd be making the most of them. So far, he'd been dolled up in a tux that had made him feel like a waiter. The joke he'd tried to make had clearly fallen flat, but he had to be honest, with a, dear God, dicky bow. Hard pass! Now let's see. We need a statement piece around that lovely neck. 1,000! Do we still have any Stefano Ricci solid red silk ties left? Montabella! Please bring one through with the Berluti Oxford shoes in cognac and get the tango belt in the same shade. Grazie! Then there'd been a moose-colored suit. It was beige, and with a cream silk shirt with pearl buttons, he looked ridiculous. And no, unlike what Mitsuki thought, he wasn't exaggerating. She demanded that he allow her to take photographs of him. Come on, it's a special occasion, and I'll not share them with too many people, alright? And he'd given out. He wasn't vain, and hell, if it gave people a good laugh, why not? He'd looked like a blanche mock dessert, and felt like one too. Then there'd been the pinstriped monstrosity. He'd taken one look at himself in the mirror and seen a bewildered person trying to look like a CEO, trying to look like someone important, and instantly vetoed the outfit. He thought he was going to break out in hives. Worse still, he kept hearing all of these fancy Western names, and despite his best efforts, he'd not been able to spot any price tags. Okay, well, I'll say it, Aizawa-sama. He had told the man, told them all to stop calling him Sama. He was just a regular man, for goodness sake. But still, he didn't want to get them into trouble. They were probably trained to say such things after all. They were probably all working on commission, poor guys. So he'd just given up and let it slide. And tried to smile. Yes, he was trying his best to smile. And not grimace. Stop being ungrateful, you ornery brick. He managed to nod, regarded the final, thank God, outfit, and started to dress. He couldn't argue that the fabrics didn't feel wonderful, because they did. He'd never really stopped to think about such things as textures outside the world of food. And upon reflection, the blues and browns, which made up the greater proportion of the suit and accessories, were beautiful. The tie, although a little too bright for his liking, was similarly lovely to behold, and after knotting his hair into a messy-tailed bun at the nape of his neck, a few strands of his choppy bangs escaping, he tied the laces of his shoes, buttoned the cuffs of his sleeves, and blinked when he heard a series of gasps. Shit, had he somehow managed to put something on wrong? Oh, Aizawa-sama, that is just perfect! Regarding Gustavo and Tao-san, both stood in the changing room's velvet-curtained entrance. Was the artistically mustached man texting someone while looking at him? What was with those starry eyes all of a sudden? He did smile a little this time before turning from them to look at the full-length mirror. Well, what did you know? The cut was flattering. He looked a little taller, his shoulders straighter, his legs longer, and yes, he had to admit the combinations of these pastel blues with the amber red brown of the shoes and belt together with the tie — he'd used a simple Windsor knot, he didn't know of any other way to do it — looked smart, but not over the top. It looked good, even if he couldn't imagine himself dressed like this all of the time. This ensemble wouldn't hold up to flour, soy sauce, batter, and the like, would it? "Oh, Aizawa-sama, may I please take a photograph of you for our website and social media platforms? I can ask my manager about providing you with suitable payment." Sure, don't worry about paying me." He shrugged. "Now, if you'll please excuse me, I better get out there before Mitsuki decides that she's done waiting." He juggled, his feet padding. Damn, these shoes were ridiculously comfortable. On the plush-patterned carpet, past the sales assistant and tailor before walking through the short corridor and into the store proper. "So, will I do?" he asked, his brows lifting a fraction when the blonde almost spat out her drink. This was probably the most expensive outfit, wasn't it? And Inko teared up all over again. Oh, Shouta, you look fucking amazing!" the crimson-eyed woman said as she stood, her enthusiasm causing the other customers and personal shoppers to turn to him. "Wonderful! Holy shit! You've always been good-looking, but damn, boy!" she stated frankly as she approached him and circled where he stood, not unlike a shark, her cell phone flashing multiple images of him whilst he staved off a blush. "Gustavo-sama, we'll take it up, thanks," she called with a happy wave. "Oh, Michael-san, it'd be a travesty not to, wouldn't it?" the flamboyant man replied with a steep bow that was mimicked by Tao-san and Chocho. God, they were only clothes. Speaking of which, "You've got to let me pay for these," he told the woman still moving around him, his gaze caught between trying to make eye contact with her and watching a few of the clearly businessmen who could probably buy the Norineko 100 times over, customers who were similarly inspecting him. At least this would be good practice for potentially being followed around by paparazzi later. Joy! "Nah, sorry, Shuriken. Everything's already been paid for, I'm afraid." The semi-retired bro tittered or smirked devilish. "And who the hell cares when it's yen well spent, She shrugged mildly, her fingers and thumbs rapidly tapping at her phone to no doubt share the finished product with her friends. "Okay, now go on, get," she instructed, her hands making shooing motions. "We've still got to get your shorts and then meet up with the kids, haven't we?" Walking out of the changing room, why was he not surprised to see the women, his friends, holding the bags? Some of the sales assistants were whispering as he walked out, his hair down and normal clothes back in place. "Aizawa-sama, could we have your full name, please? Oh, and your address, just for our records. They'll be data processed, of course." "So, you're not even going to let me carry them?" he juggled after saying goodbye to Gustavo and the others, his mind pointedly ignoring the men watching him. This wasn't exactly the kind of store you wore t-shirt and jeans, was it? "Not on your life." Ingo smiled, her cheeks pinked with pride as she hugged one of the bags to her chest. "Thank you for letting us enjoy this with you." She smiled sweetly. God, again he found himself quietly and silently plotting a way to find Midoriya, Hizashi, wherever he was, and giving him a piece of his mind. And a fist to the face, with a crotch shot besides. Although, upon reflection, that prick doesn't deserve a wife as wonderful as Inko or a child as smart, big-hearted, and resilient as Izuku. "I should be the one thanking the both of you, shouldn't I?" He smiled fondly, the pair linking him once more as they walked, thank God, out of the store and back towards the outlet district. We've been thanked. In fact, I go as far to say that we've been blessed." Mitsuki purred, her eyes sparkling. "You have no idea how rare you are as a person, do you, huh?" she asked, the three of them leisurely walking around the wide, quiet aisle, boasting shops he'd never heard of with price tags beyond his means. "Rare?" he sniggered. "Well, I'm completely unique, an individual." He nodded before his grin pleased. "Just like everybody else." "Ha ha! Cute! Cute is what you are!" The blonde laugh snorted. "Now come on, Joker Cat Dad," she grinned. "Let's get you some shorts and then get some lunch together, alright?" Meaning the tots at the food court, they'd eaten, laughed, and chatted for another hour. All of the tots were incredibly excited. Video games had never been something he'd been able to play growing up. Perhaps he'd let Dabi, Tomra, and Hitoshi teach him how to play a few next week. That'd be a nice bonding activity they could do. Then at 1300, Mitsuki had taken his son Eijiro and Denki, who'd pick up his sleepover bag when he came to the cafe tomorrow for his usual study time away, the three boys hugging at his legs, their little voices declaring that they were looking forward to seeing him and the kids tomorrow. Such good kids. He, Inko, his teens, and the remaining tots had similarly headed home with filled bellies and a few bags of various other things. He'd gotten an amazing deal on his shorts, buy one get one free, hell yes, and picked up some additional items besides. He'd seen a few pairs of mix and match, buy one get one free again. Damn, why didn't everyone shop at outlets? All my t-shirts, for all of the tots. He'd let them pick which colors they wanted tomorrow. That he'd bought alongside a Team Mom t-shirt, one in green, the other in red, for Mitsuki and Inko, with two further sets of team pajamas for his lodgers. The sleepwear was in a soft, breathable jersey in midnight blue. However, he'd had to buy them because on the chest of the shirts, curled together, was a purple and black cat with a white and gray cat. How could he not buy them? And hell, they'd been through so much over the last week in particular, and deserved a little treat themselves, didn't they? Absent-mindedly, their group steadily walking home, Hitoshi on his shoulder, Izuku happily balanced on Dabi's. So cute! He started to think about what kind of activity they could do together as a group. Sure, they went to the park after viewing their feline family members for the first time, and yes, he could make another water park for them, but childhood was precious, wasn't it? Well, it was meant to be. He'd have to get in touch with Naoki and the others to see what they wanted to do, too. The summer holidays would soon be upon, and even though he'd seen his youngest care center sibling, he longed to hug them all together. He wanted to introduce them to the younger brothers and sisters. He wanted to feed them in the Nobunaga and have sleepovers in the apartment. He wanted to have all of his precious people together. Roll on August. At 1500, he and Hitoshi had talked to Kimiko with the teens. Tomura had been officially introduced. Tomuni is so cool, Mommy, and he's so smart. He's helping me to study and everything. She looked, despite her current environment, well rested. She showed them the courses she'd been completing, told them about her friends, how her quirk, growth, was helping the detention house's garden and vegetable patch to flourish, and that her supervisor in the kitchens was really impressed by her developing skills. God, how he longed to reach through the screen and bring her home. However, since that wasn't an option, not for a few years yet. Seeing her did make him feel a little easier, a little lighter, too, since she was powering through, the thoughts of being free, of being reunited with her son and the new life they'd shared together, spurring her on. Sure, it wasn't ideal, but she was just as resilient as her son, just as determined, and they, of course, would be there for her every step of the way. He's looking so strong. So happy, Shouta-kun, she'd praised in the last few private minutes they'd shared with each other. I know that wherever his father is in heaven, he's looking down at you, at both of you, and cheering you on. Just like I am, she'd said, and God, it had choked him. We couldn't have asked for a better person to be in our son's life. Please give him another big hug from me, all right? And he had, of course. He always would. Then, after his adult classes, more new faces. He might have to put on another evening session at this rate. Had run through their exercises. He'd bid them a good evening and paid the yoga studio's owner, who'd given him a discount. Lots of the MU students had taken up yoga and Pilates, and he was beyond grateful. And looked at his phone to thank his old high school mentor. He was so unbelievably proud of them all, and in that vein, he'd mentioned that there were opportunities to become accredited in jiu-jitsu. And so, a phone call later, Moto-sensei was titillating as she signed them up, with Mimi-chan of all people being one of the first to go belt hunting. There might be snow on the roof, Shouta-kun, but there's still a fire in the furnace, she'd roared her girls, Kohako-san, his salaryman friends, and Inko, he'd been thrilled, all cheering and similarly asking to be registered with his mentor's Tokyo dojo. Many of the MU students, with their middle school koheis, had also put their names forward. Aside from such accredited skill sets looking great on resumes, at the thought of being empowered, all of them having quirks not considered good enough for hero courses, he'd have to talk to Nezuo about that. They'd all jumped at the chance. He couldn't have been happier, and speaking of happy, he felt his eyebrows attempt to knit into his hairline when he saw all of the messages folding his text box in the group chat he shared with the majority of their older friendship group, which included his largest, of course, but not his innocent tots, his grin spreading. For from the local pros to online, everyone seemed to be losing their minds over the photographs Mitsuki had taken of him. Illogical. However, upon walking back to the Noronego, he felt a snicker leaving him at the, quite frankly, ridiculous comments that had sparked off between the Asa Borsam and the teens in particular. Loud. Dude, why didn't you tell us you were a catwalk model? Hashtag sexy. President Mike, you can make a religion out of this! Hashtag blessed! Midnight, Daddy! Tomra, it's a damn good job. Spinner isn't part of this chat. Midnight, wait, is it? Midnight added one spiny boy to the chat. Dobby, you're a monster. Midnight, I never 11, really, Dobby kids. Oh, and there's interest accumulating on I bet you know. Spinner, oh, hey guys, what's with all the photos? I am Captain! Oh my god, that guy! President Mike, press F in check, guys! Dobby, I'm gonna have to deflect this trauma with something cute. Aizawa Dobby changed Tomra's name to Aizawa Tomra. Epic. Loud, President Mike, Sir Night-Eye, Midnight, Loud, President Mike, Tomoko, Midnight, Aizawa Shouta, and Spinner all liked that. Dobby, also, I see your interest, Nemni, and raise you Spinner's ongoing therapy bills. Tomoko, not as your girlfriend who loves you. Sadly, he has a point. Spinner, no, I'm fine. This is fine. You've just turned my secondary father figure into a pin-up. That's okay. I can totally unsee this. Snickering, he'd stepped up his pace back home. He needed to hug his teens and give them their pajamas before getting ready for his date. Regardless of his discomfort earlier, he couldn't help but feel maybe just a little excited. All Might had texted him privately that he looked about $1 short to go. And Mirai sweetly had simply texted, I'll have to up my game with you looking like that, Shotokun. Shaking his head ruefully, he stepped up his jog and felt his spirits lightening further at the side of his cafe. Maybe, just maybe, tonight wouldn't be so bad after all. At the designated time, after he'd hugged his boys goodnight, Dobby had wolf-whistled at him. They'd all broken down into hysterics. He'd jogged downstairs, his lodgers and ward all dressed up in their pajamas. The younger lovers had blinked at their impromptu gift and thanked him, whilst he was dolled up in his new duds. Inko, bless her heart, had slipped him some sandalwood cologne. I smelt it in the mall and couldn't resist. It's warm, strong, and soothing, just like you. And even he had to admit he scrubbed up pretty nice. His care center siblings had been very quick to say so with Naoki, the young hero he was, promising to arrive as his vanguard if he needed one. Such a good kid. Although, considering who he was going out with, he was pretty sure that they'd be fine. Both Bubble Girl and Centipeter had promised that they'd have a stress-free evening. They'd looked very determined as they'd spoken to him. Emirai, of course, was the epitome of a gentleman. A gentleman who was waiting by the cafe door with a bouquet of yellow roses. With the roses resting in his kitchen sink. Oh, thank you. No one has ever, I'll go put them in some water, okay? They'd made their way to the pros, thankfully, in conspicuous car, gotten inside, and began their date in earnest. You're looking tempting, the golden-eyed man had complimented once they'd hit the highway. Have you seen the traffic on the Sanji & Co.'s website by any chance? Blinking. That was the store's name, wasn't it? Shouta found himself chuckling. I rarely get time to check on my own establishment's page, he admitted, his body relaxing into the seat as the car's excellent climate control dealt with the July heat that weighed upon the evening. If it wasn't for Nami and Tomura, the Noronego's page would probably be a must, he added, his tone fond as they watched the other vehicles drive past them, the hazy summer sky still blue as they neared their destination within the city. Why? Have they added my photographs? More like photo shoot. The older man grinned, his smooth voice peppered with mirth. The fashion industry will be trying to poach you if we're not careful," he added with a grin as they turned off the busy main road and re-entered the city proper. "Oh yeah, sure," he sniggered. "So, where are we going?" he asked, because although he didn't want to be rude, such logical thoughts weren't something he wanted to dwell on, his eyes moving from one roadside to the next. They were heading, if he wasn't mistaken, to the business district. The business district where the priciest restaurants resided. Not that he was surprised per se, but this part of the city was always busy, wasn't it? "We have a booking at X," the other replied demurely, "and I am genuinely interested in seeing your reaction to the food that they serve there." He admitted that smirk broadening. "I'm willing to bet that you'll be surprised at the prices, but please, my only wish is for you to enjoy yourself, all right?"